The morning alarm rang through research station Kepler 442b just like every other day. Dr. Kim Taemin rolled out of his narrow bunk and walked to the small window of his quarters. The alien sun was rising over the rocky landscape, painting everything, in shades of orange and purple that still amazed him after 2 years on this distant world. Kim pulled on his research clothes and headed to the main lab. As the station's lead xenobiologist, he had important work to do. The team was studying the local wildlife, trying to understand how life developed on this harsh planet. Most days were routine, but Kim never knew when they might discover something that would change everything. He was checking his equipment when the station's proximity alarm started beeping. Kim looked at the security screen and saw something moving near the outer fence. At first, he thought it might be one of the local animals they had been studying, but as he looked closer, Kim realized this was something different. The creature was about the size of a human, but its body was covered in what looked like broken pieces of dark shell. It moved slowly, stumbling and falling every few steps. Kim had never seen anything like it before. "Commander Choi," Kim called into his radio. "We have an unknown life form outside the station. It looks injured." Commander Choi Minho's voice crackled back through the radio. "Are you sure it's not one of the local animals we've cataloged?" Kim watched the creature collapse near their fence and struggle to get back up. "No, sir. This is definitely something new, and I think it's dying." Within minutes, Kim was joined by the station's medical officer, Dr. Lee Dong-woo, and their linguist, Park So-young. The three of them put on their protective suits and went outside to investigate. As they got closer, Kim could see that the creature was unlike anything in their databases. Its body was long and thin, with 6 limbs that ended in delicate, claw-like hands. What he had thought was broken shell was actually a natural covering that looked like dark metal plates. But many of these plates were cracked or missing, showing pale, soft skin underneath. The most striking feature was the creature's head. Where Kim expected to see eyes, there were only empty, scarred sockets. The creature had been blind for some time. "It's definitely not from this planet," Park So-young said, scanning the creature with her translator device. "Look at the bone structure. This is built for a world with different gravity." Dr. Lee was already checking the creature's vital signs. Heart rate is very slow. Body temperature is dropping. Whatever this thing is, it's in bad shape. The creature made a soft clicking sound and tried to lift its head toward them. Kim felt a strange pull in his chest. Despite its alien appearance, there was something almost human about the way it reached toward them, as if asking for help. "We should bring it inside," Kim said. Commander Choi's voice came through their radios. "Kim, we don't know what that thing is or where it came from. It could be dangerous." "Sir, it's dying," Kim replied, looking down at the creature. "Whatever it is, it needs medical attention now." There was a long pause before Commander Choi responded. "Fine, but it goes straight to the isolation lab. Full quarantine procedures." The team carefully lifted the creature and brought it inside. In the bright lights of the medical bay, Kim could see even more details. The creature's breathing was shallow and irregular. Its body was covered in small wounds that looked infected. Most troubling of all, Kim could see signs that someone or something had deliberately removed the creature's eyes. "This wasn't an accident, Doctor," Lee said, examining the eye sockets. "These wounds are too clean, too precise. Someone did this on purpose." Park So-young was running her equipment over the creature, trying to find any way to communicate. "I'm getting some brain activity, but it's very weak. The translation software can't make sense of any of it yet." Kim stood looking down at the creature and felt angry. He had spent his whole career studying life in all its forms, and he had never seen anything that looked like deliberate cruelty before. Most animals were violent only when they needed to hunt or defend themselves, but this looked like something else entirely. "We need to try to save it," Kim said. Over the next few hours, Dr. Lee worked to stabilize the creature's condition. He gave it fluids and nutrients through a feeding tube. Slowly, the creature's vital signs began to improve. Its breathing became more regular, and its body temperature started to rise. As the creature got stronger, it began to make more sounds. Park So-young worked with her translation equipment, trying to understand what it was saying. Finally, after many attempts, She managed to get a few words to translate. Home, the creature kept saying. Lost. Home. Kim sat beside the medical bed where the creature was resting. We're going to help you, he said, even though he wasn't sure the creature could understand him. The creature turned its head toward Kim's voice and made a sound that the translator interpreted as, why? It was such a simple question, but Kim found it hard to answer. Why would they help a creature they had never seen before? Why would they use their limited medical supplies on something that wasn't even from their world? Because you need help, Kim said finally. The creature was quiet for a long time. Then, it made another sound that the translator couldn't interpret at all. Late that evening, Kim was still in the lab, reading everything he could find about similar species in the galactic databases. Park So-young came in carrying 2 cups of coffee. Any luck? She asked, handing Kim a cup. I think I found something, Kim said, pointing to his screen. Look at this entry about the Vex Thari. The body structure is similar and they're known to travel between star systems. Park So-young read over his shoulder. It says here that they live in collective groups called hives. Very organized society, but not much contact with other species. There's something else, Kim said, scrolling down. It mentions that they have a strict social structure. Members who can't contribute to the group are. Kim paused, not wanting to say the words. Are what? Park So-young asked. Are cast out to die, Kim finished. The database says they consider it a mercy. Park So-young looked back toward the medical bay where their patient was sleeping. You think that's what happened to our friend in there? Kim nodded. I think someone blinded it, and then its own people threw it away. The 2 humans sat in silence, thinking about what kind of society would do such a thing to one of their own. Kim had always believed that intelligence meant compassion, but maybe he was wrong. Maybe some species valued other things more than taking care of their weak or injured. What are we going to call it? Park So-young asked. We can't keep saying the creature forever, Kim thought for a moment. How about Hana? It means one in Korean. She's alone, but she doesn't have to be anymore. Park So-young smiled. Hana it is. As Kim prepared to leave the lab for the night, he looked back at the medical bay one more time. Hana was sleeping peacefully, her breathing steady and strong. Whatever had happened to her before, she was safe now. Kim didn't know it yet, but saving Hana would change everything for the small human research station. It would challenge everything they thought they knew about intelligence, society, and what it meant to be alive. But for now, Kim was just happy that they had been able to help someone who needed it. That was what humans did, after all. They helped. 3 days had passed since they found Hana outside the station. Dr. Kim Tae-min arrived at the medical bay early each morning to check on their guest. Today was different, though. When he walked in, Hana was sitting up on the medical bed, her head turning toward the sound of his footsteps. Good morning, Hana, Kim said softly. Hana made a series of clicking sounds that Park So-young's translation device was slowly learning to understand. The machine beeped and displayed words on its screen. Why still here? Why not dead? Kim pulled up a chair beside the bed. Over the past few days, they had learned that Hana's questions were not just curiosity. She genuinely could not understand why the humans were keeping her alive. Because we want to help you get better, Kim said. The translator worked for a moment, then displayed Hana's response. Broken drone has no purpose. Resources wasted on useless thing. Dr. Lee Dongwoo entered the medical bay carrying a tray of food. He had been working hard to figure out what Hana could eat safely. Most human food was too different from what her body needed, but he had found some protein mixtures that seemed to work. How is our patient today? Dr. Lee asked, setting down the tray. Still trying to convince us she's worthless, Kim replied with a sad smile. Hana's head moved toward Dr. Lee's voice. She made more clicking sounds and the translator displayed, why waste food on broken drone? Food should go to useful ones. Dr. Lee sat down on the other side of the bed. Hana, you're not broken. You're hurt, and we're helping you heal. Do not understand, came Hana's translated response. Hive teaches. Broken drone is removed. Weak drone takes resources from strong drones. This is wrong way. Kim had been reading more about Vexithari society in the galactic databases. What he learned made him feel sick. The Vexithari lived in perfect cooperation, but only because they removed anyone who could not contribute equally. Children who were born different, adults who became injured, elderly who grew weak, all were cast out to die alone. Your hive was wrong, Kim said gently. Every life has value. Hana was quiet for a long time. Then she made a sound that was different from her usual clicks. The translator couldn't interpret it, but somehow Kim understood it was confusion. Park So-young arrived with her equipment, ready for their daily language session. She had been working hard to improve communication with Hana. Each day, the translation became a little better, and they learned more about how Hana's mind worked. Ready for today's lesson? Park asked cheerfully. Hana turned toward her voice. Teacher So-young, she said, using one of the few human words she had learned to speak. Over the past 3 days, Park had discovered that Hana was incredibly intelligent. She learned new concepts quickly and remembered everything perfectly. But she struggled with ideas that seemed simple to humans. Today I want to talk about friendship, Park said, sitting down with her recording equipment. Friendship? Hana repeated slowly, trying to pronounce the human word. Yes. A friend is someone who cares about you just because of who you are, not because of what you can do for them. The translator worked to convert this concept into Hana's language, but it seemed to have trouble. Finally, it displayed, concept not found, unable to translate. Park tried a different approach. Kim, Lee, and I are your friends. We care about you. Why? Hana asked immediately. Because we like you, Park said simply. But what does Hana do for Kim Lee So-young? What purpose does Hana serve? Kim leaned forward. You don't have to serve a purpose, Hana. You have value just by being alive. This seemed to upset Hana greatly. She made rapid clicking sounds that the translator had trouble keeping up with. Finally, it displayed, this is wrong thinking. All things must have purpose. Drone without purpose is waste. Waste is removed. Dr. Lee spoke up. What if we told you that your purpose is to be our friend? Hana became very still. Friend is purpose? It can be, Kim said. The best purpose of all. Over the following days, the concept of friendship seemed to fascinate Hana. She would ask the same questions over and over, trying to understand how beings could care for each other without expecting anything in return. In Hive, Hana explained during one session, worker drones care for soldier drones because soldier drones protect Hive. Soldier drones protect worker drones because worker drones make food. All things connected by purpose. But what about caring? Just because you want someone to be happy? Park asked. Want someone happy? Hana's confusion was clear even through the translator. Why want other happy if other not useful to you? Kim realized they were trying to teach Hana something her entire species had never learned. The Vexithari were so focused on efficiency and usefulness that they had never developed compassion for its own sake. That afternoon, engineer Yoon Jae-hyuk stopped by the medical bay. He had been working on the station's communication systems and was curious about their alien guest. How is she doing? Yoon asked. Better physically, Dr. Lee replied. But she's struggling with some concepts. Yoon looked at Hana, who was resting quietly on the bed. What kind of concepts? Things like friendship, caring, personal worth, Kim explained. Her people only value others based on what they can contribute. Yoon was quiet for a moment, thinking. You know, I've been reading about neural interface technology. There have been some advances in helping people who have lost their sight, I looked up with interest. What kind of advances? Well, there are ways to bypass damaged eyes entirely. Connect directly to the brain's visual processing center. It's experimental, but it works. Could it work on a Vexithari? Park asked. I don't know, Yoon admitted. We'd have to study her brain structure first, and even if it was possible, it would be incredibly complex. That evening, Kim stayed late in the lab, reading everything he could find about neural interfaces and visual prosthetics. The more he read, the more excited he became. If they could restore Hana's sight, it would prove something important, that beings had value even when they were broken, even when they needed help. But it would also be dangerous. No one had ever tried to connect human technology to an alien brain before. They could accidentally hurt Hana, or worse. Kim was still reading when Hana's voice came through the medical bay speakers. She had learned to use the communication system to call for help when she needed something. Kim, she said in her careful pronunciation of his name. Kim hurried to the medical bay. What do you need, Hana? Question, she said through the translator. If Hana learns to be friend, if Hana has purpose as friend, then Hana is not waste? Kim felt his heart skip. That's right, Hana. You would never be waste. And Kim Lee So Young would not abandon Hana? Even if new broken thing happens? Never, Kim said firmly. Friends don't abandon friends. Hana was quiet for a long time. Then she made that untranslatable sound again, the one that Kim thought might be wonder. Hana wants to learn more about friendship, she said finally. Kim smiled. We'll teach you. Everything we can. As Kim prepared to leave for the night, he thought about Yoon's suggestion. Restoring Hana's sight would be risky and expensive. Commander Choi would probably say it was a waste of resources. But looking at Hana, Kim knew they had to try. Not because she would be useful if she could see, but because she deserved to see the world around her. She deserved to experience everything life had to offer. That was what friends did for each other, after all. They helped each other become everything they could be. For the first time since losing her sight, Hana was beginning to hope. 2 weeks had passed since engineer Yoon Jae-hyuk first suggested the neural interface idea. The entire research station had become involved in the project to restore Hana's sight. What started as one engineer's curiosity had grown into the most ambitious medical procedure anyone on Kepler 442b had ever attempted. Dr. Bae Young-soo arrived from Earth 3 days ago. He was a specialist in cybernetics and neural interfaces, and Commander Choi had requested him specifically for this project. When Earth Command heard about what they were trying to do, they sent their best expert to help. The brain scans look promising, Dr. Bae said, studying the images on his screen. Hana's visual processing center is completely intact. The damage is only to her eyes themselves. Kim looked over the doctor's shoulder at the colorful brain scans. After weeks of careful study, they had learned that Vexithari brains were surprisingly similar to human brains in many ways. The areas that controlled sight, hearing, and movement were almost in the same places. So the interface could work? Kim asked. In theory, yes, Dr. Bae replied. But we've never tried anything like this before. Connecting human technology to an alien brain is completely new territory. In another part of the station, botanist Shin Ha-na was working on a different piece of the puzzle. The neural interface would need organic components to work properly with Hana's biology. Shin had been studying the local plant life, looking for something that could help bridge the gap between human technology and Vexithari biology. I think I found something, Shin announced, rushing into the main lab with a container of glowing, purple plants. These organisms use bioluminescence to communicate with each other. Their neural pathways are incredibly complex. Yoon examined the plants under his microscope. Amazing. Look at how they respond to electrical signals. The plants seem to pulse with light whenever Yoon touched them with a small electrical probe. The patterns were beautiful and complex, like a language made of light. Could we use these to help the interface communicate with Hana's brain? Dr. Bae asked. I think so, Shin replied excitedly. We could grow the interface components using these organisms as a base. They're already designed to carry complex neural signals. Over the next few days, the team worked around the clock to design and build the neural interface. It was unlike anything that had ever been created before. The device combined advanced human-computer technology with the natural neural networks of the local plants. Hana listened to all of this activity with growing curiosity and fear. She understood that the humans were trying to help her see again, but she could not understand why they would take such risks. Why do this dangerous thing for broken drone? she asked Kim during one of their daily conversations. Because you're not broken, Kim replied for what felt like the 100th time. And because friends help friends. But if experiment fails, Hana could die. Then all work wasted. Kim sat down beside her bed. Hana, do you trust us? The question seemed to surprise her. Through the translator, she asked, what is trust? Trust means believing that someone will do what is best for you, even when you can't see what they're doing. Hana was quiet for a long time. Hive never teaches trust. In Hive, all drones see, all actions, no hidden things. But you're not in the Hive anymore, Park So-young said, joining the conversation. You're with us, and we care about what happens to you. Hana wants to trust, came the translated response. But scared. Being scared is normal, Dr. Lee said, checking her vital signs. We're scared too, but we think this will work. The day of the surgery finally arrived. The entire team gathered in the medical bay, which had been converted into an operating room. Dr. Lee would perform the surgery, with Dr. Bay guiding him through the neural interface installation. Hana lay on the operating table, calm but alert. The anesthesia they were using was specially designed for Vexthari biology, but they weren't sure how long it would last. Are you ready, Hana? Dr. Lee asked. Ready to trust friends, she replied through the translator. The surgery took 4 hours. Dr. Lee carefully opened the area around Hana's damaged eye sockets while Dr. Bay installed the neural interface components. The bioluminescent plants that Shin had prepared glowed softly as they were connected to Hana's brain. Yoon monitored all the electronic systems, making sure the interface was receiving and transmitting signals properly. The readings looked good, but they wouldn't know if it really worked until Hana woke up. Finally, Dr. Lee closed the surgical sites and stepped back. It's done. Now we wait. Hana woke up slowly. At first, she seemed confused and disoriented. The anesthesia made it hard for her to move or speak clearly. How do you feel? Kim asked, sitting beside her bed. Strange, Hana said weakly. Head feels different. The interface is installed, Dr. Bay explained, but we haven't activated it yet. We want to make sure you're feeling strong enough first. Over the next day, Hana recovered from the surgery remarkably well. Her body seemed to heal faster than human bodies did, which Dr. Lee found fascinating. By the second day, she was sitting up and talking normally. Ready to try seeing? Yoon asked, holding the activation control in his hand. Hana turned her head toward his voice. What if not work? Then we'll figure out something else, Kim said. But what if it does work? Then Hana sees friends for first time, she said, and Kim could hear excitement in her voice even through the translator. Yoon slowly activated the neural interface. At first, nothing happened. Then Hana made a sound that the translator couldn't interpret. She turned her head from side to side as if looking around the room. Hana? Park asked carefully. Can you see anything? Light, Hana said, her voice filled with wonder. Seeing light. Yoon increased the interface power gradually. Hana's movements became more focused, as if she was learning to see all over again. Shapes, she said. Strange shapes everywhere. Those are your friends, Kim said softly. We're standing around your bed. Hana turned toward Kim's voice, and for the first time, seemed to look directly at him. Kim. Yes, that's me. You are beautiful, Hana said, and the translator seemed to struggle with the concept. Dr. Bay adjusted the interface settings, fine-tuning the visual signals. As he did, Hana's reactions became stronger. Colors, she said, her voice full of amazement. So many colors. Hive never told about colors. The team watched as Hana experienced sight for the first time in her new way. The neural interface didn't just restore her vision, it gave her a completely different way of seeing the world. Everything glows, Hana said, looking around the room. Kim glows, So-young glows, all friends glow with warm light. Kim realized that the interface was showing Hana more than just normal vision. The bioluminescent components were letting her see heat, emotion, and life energy in ways that neither humans nor Vex Ithari had ever experienced before. The walls have patterns, Hana continued, looking around in wonder. Beautiful patterns everywhere, and the air has colors too. Yoon looked at his readings with excitement. The interface is working better than we hoped. She's seeing across multiple spectrums simultaneously. Hana turned to look at each person in the room, taking in their faces for the first time. When she looked at Kim, she made that untranslatable sound again, the one that meant wonder. "Friend Kim," she said, "now Hana sees why you help Broken Drone. You have kind light inside you. All friends have kind light." Kim felt tears in his eyes. "Can you see yourself, Hana?" Hana looked down at her own hands, then touched her face gently. "Hana glows too," she said with surprise. "Hana has light inside also." "You always did," Kim said. "We could see it from the very beginning." For the first time since they had found her dying outside the station, Hana seemed to understand that she had value. Not because of what she could do, but because of who she was. The gift of sight had become something much more important. It had become the gift of self-worth. "Thank you, friends," Hana said, looking at each of them with her new eyes. "Thank you for showing Hana how to see." 3 months had passed since Hana's successful surgery. She had become a true member of the research station community, helping with daily tasks and learning more about human culture every day. Her enhanced vision allowed her to see things no one else could, and she often pointed out details that the humans missed. Kim was working in the lab when the long-range communication system started beeping. He looked at the display and felt his heart drop. 3 large ships were approaching. Kepler 442b, and their design matched the Vexthari vessels in the galactic database. "Commander Choi to all stations," came the announcement over the intercom. "We have incoming vessels, unknown intentions, all personnel report to stations." Kim rushed to find Hana. She was in the botanical lab with Shin Hana, studying the glowing plants that had helped create her neural interface. When she saw Kim's face, her new vision immediately picked up his distress. "Something wrong," Hana said, not needing the translator for simple phrases anymore. Kim's light is worried color. "Ships are coming, Hana. Vex Ithari ships." Hana became very still. "Hive comes for Broken Drone." "You're not broken," Kim said firmly, "and you're not going anywhere." Within hours, the Vex Ithari ships had landed near the human research station. A delegation of 6 Vex Ithari emerged from the largest ship. They moved in perfect coordination, their metal-plated bodies gleaming in the alien sunlight. "Commander," Choi met them at the station's main entrance, with Kim and the rest of the team standing behind him. Hana stayed inside, watching through the security cameras with her enhanced vision. The lead Vexthari stepped forward. Unlike Hana, this one was larger and covered in bright red markings. Through a translation device similar to the humans, it spoke in a cold, mechanical voice. "I am Hive Speaker Vexka. We come to reclaim stolen property and confiscate illegal technology." Commander Choi straightened his shoulders. "I'm Commander Choi Minho of the Human Research Station Kepler 442b. We don't have any stolen property. Here. You possess defective drone designated as waste disposal. You possess technology created using Hive biological data. Both must be returned immediately." Kim stepped forward. "Her name is Hana, and she's not property. She's a person." Vexka turned toward Kim, and even through the translator, his disdain was clear. "Inferior species does not understand Hive structure. Defective drone has no individual designation. It is biological waste." "She's not waste," Dr. Lee said angrily. "She's intelligent, creative, and valuable. Broken Drone cannot contribute to Hive efficiency. Resources spent on Broken Drone are wasted resources. This is fundamental truth." Park So-young activated her recording equipment. "How did you know she was here?" "Hive monitors all communications. Primitive human transmissions revealed presence of stolen property and illegal technology, Commander." Choi tried to maintain diplomatic calm. We found her dying outside our station. We provided medical assistance as a humanitarian gesture. Humanitarian, Vexka repeated, as if the word tasted bad. Inferior concept. Weak beings help weak beings, creating more weakness. Inside the station, Hana was listening to every word, through the communication system. Her enhanced vision let her see the emotional states of everyone involved, even through the security cameras. She could see the anger and frustration in her human friends, and the cold emptiness in the Vex-Thari delegation. Hana must go to them, she said to herself. Before anyone could stop her, Hana walked out of the station and approached the group. The moment the Vex-Thari delegation saw her, their coordinated movement stopped. They stared at her with what looked like shock. Impossible, Vexka said. Defective drone shows signs of repair. Hana looked directly at the Hive speaker with her artificial eyes. Hana sees Vexka, sees fear behind cold words. Broken drone cannot see. This is known fact. Hana sees better now than ever before, she replied. Sees truth that Hive hides. Vexka moved closer to examine Hana. Illegal technology has been installed in Hive property. This is theft of highest order. I'm not Hive property anymore, Hana said clearly. I choose to stay with friends. This statement seemed to shock the entire Vex-Thari delegation. They began making rapid clicking sounds among themselves, too fast for the translators to keep up with. Defective drone cannot choose, Vexka said finally. Choice requires individual consciousness. Hive drones do not possess individual consciousness. Then how am I choosing? Hana asked. Kim watched the exchange with growing pride. Hana was standing up to her former oppressors with courage he had never seen before. Her enhanced vision seemed to give her confidence, allowing her to see through their intimidation tactics. Human contamination has corrupted drone programming, Vexka declared. Drone must be returned to Hive for proper disposal. No, Hana said simply. Defective drone will comply or force will be used. Commander Choi stepped between Vexka and Hana. She's under human protection now. If you want to take her, you'll have to go through us. The entire human team moved to stand with their commander. Even though they were vastly outnumbered, they formed a protective circle around Hana. Vexka seemed puzzled by this display. Why do inferior beings risk themselves for broken drone? Because that's what friends do, Kim said. Friends, Vexka repeated the word like it was a disease. Another inferior concept. Hive drones serve Hive. Hive serves drones. Perfect efficiency. Perfect efficiency without compassion, Park So-young said. That's not perfection. That's just cold. Something unexpected happened then. Two of the Vex-Thari in the delegation began moving differently from the others. Instead of the perfect coordination they had shown before, they seemed to be acting independently. Hana's enhanced vision picked up the change immediately. Two delegation members showed different light patterns, she said. They have individual thoughts. Vexka turned angrily toward the two who were behaving differently. Drones will maintain formation discipline. But the two Vex-Thari stepped forward instead. One of them spoke through the translator. We request information about choice concept. You will return to formation immediately, Vexka commanded. We choose to request information, the second one said. Vexka seemed to realize he was losing control of the situation. Contamination spreads. All drones will return to ships immediately. Wait, Hana said, looking at the two independent Vex-Thari. You want to know about choice? We want to know about seeing value in broken things, the first one said. We want to know about individual worth, said the second. Hana smiled, something she had learned from watching her human friends. Individual worth means you matter because you exist, not because of what you can do. Impossible concept, Vexka said, but his voice sounded less certain than before. Not impossible, Hana replied. I was broken drone too. But friends showed me that broken things can be fixed and fixed things can be beautiful. The two independent Vex-Thari moved closer to Hana. Show us this beauty in broken things. Hana looked at them with her enhanced vision and saw something that surprised her. You are not completely healthy either, she said gently. One has damaged arm plate. Other has weakness in left legs. Both hide imperfections from Hive. The two Vexathari looked at each other in shock. They had been concealing their minor flaws, living in fear of being cast out like Hana had been. In Hive, we would be discarded if flaws were discovered, the first one admitted. Here you would be helped, Kim said. That's the difference between our peoples. Vexka realized his mission was failing. Contaminated drones will return to ships. Defective drone will be retrieved by force if necessary. But as he spoke, more of his delegation began showing signs of independent thought. The concept of individual worth was spreading like a virus through their rigid group consciousness. What if, one of them said slowly, what if broken drones have value that Hive cannot see? Vexka's cold control was cracking. The perfect efficiency of his Hive was being challenged by something they had never encountered before. The idea that every individual mattered. Hana looked at all the Vexathari with her enhanced vision and saw something wonderful. Beneath their cold exterior, each one glowed with the same inner light she had learned to see in herself. You all have value, she told them. Even Vexka has light inside, hidden under fear. The Hive speaker stared at her, and for the first time, his perfect composure wavered. The battle for Hana's freedom had become something much larger. It had become a battle for the soul of an entire species. The tension around the research station was thick, as more Vexathari began showing signs of independent thought. Hive speaker Vexka watched his perfectly coordinated delegation fall apart as individual consciousness spread among them like wildfire. This contamination must be stopped, Vexka declared, his voice losing its mechanical coldness and showing real fear for the first time. But it was too late. 6 of his 8 delegation members were now acting independently, asking questions and looking at Hana with something that resembled curiosity rather than disgust. One of them, smaller than the others with several cracked shell plates, stepped closer to Hana. Broken drone claims to have value. How does broken drone prove this? Hana looked at the questioner with her enhanced vision. She could see the fear and hope swirling together in the Vexathari's energy patterns. What is your designation? She asked. Designation is Worker Maintenance Unit 7739. That is not name, Hana said gently. Name is what friends call you. What would you like friends to call you? The concept seemed to confuse the Vexathari worker. Friends choose names for broken things? Friends help you choose name for yourself, Kim said, stepping forward. Because you are not a thing. You are a person. The worker was quiet for a long moment. Worker would like to be called Day. Vexka made an angry clicking sound. Designations cannot be changed. Worker Maintenance Unit 7739 will return to proper designation immediately. My name is Day, the worker said, and there was strength in the voice that had not been there before. Another delegation member, this one with a slight limp that she had been trying to hide, spoke up. If Worker Maintenance Unit 7739 can choose name, can Worker Transport Unit 2891 also choose? What name would you like? Park So-young asked kindly. Would like to be called Cha-young. One by one, the other independent Vexathari chose names for themselves. Each name felt like another crack in the Hive's perfect control system. Vexka realized he was losing not just his mission, but his entire worldview. Stop this contamination immediately. Return to Hive discipline. Why? Asked Day. What happens if we continue to think for selves? Chaos, Vexka said desperately. Individual thought leads to disagreement. Disagreement leads to conflict. Conflict leads to destruction of all. Hana stepped forward, her artificial eyes allowing her to see the deep fear in Vexka's energy pattern. Hive speaker, you are afraid because you do not understand. But individual thought does not mean destruction. It means growth. Impossible. Hive has existed for 1,000 cycles using perfect cooperation. Individual consciousness is disease. Dr. Bae Young-soo, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. What if we could show you? What if some of your people could stay here and learn, while others return to the hive? Vexka turned his attention to the human scientist. Contaminated drones cannot return to hive. They would spread disease to healthy drones. Then let them stay, Commander Choi said. Let them choose for themselves. Choose. Vexka repeated the word like it was poison. Choice is illusion. There is only efficiency or chaos. Hana walked directly up to Vexka, looking into his scarred face with her enhanced vision. You are wrong, Hive Speaker. And deep inside, you know you are wrong. Defective drone will not lecture Hive authority. I see your light, Hana said, softly. Under all the fear and anger, you have the same inner glow as everyone else. You have value too. For a moment, Vexka's rigid posture wavered. Hive Speaker exists only to serve Hive, no individual value. But you feel pain when you see others suffering, Hana continued. Your light dims when you must cast out imperfect drones. This is compassion, even if Hive taught you to ignore it. Compassion is weakness, Vexka said, but his voice was quieter now. Compassion is strength, Kim said. It's what makes us want to help others become better. Engineer Yoon stepped forward with a tablet in his hands. I've been monitoring the energy patterns of your group. When you work together by choice instead of by force, your efficiency actually increases. Vexka looked at the data with confusion. This cannot be correct. Individual thought creates chaos. Individual thought creates innovation, Dr. Lee explained. When people choose to work together, they work harder and better than when they're forced. The Vexthari who had chosen names were now standing in a loose group, talking among themselves. Their movements were different from the rigid coordination they had shown before. They looked more alive, more engaged. Dai approached Hana with a question. If we stay with humans, what happens to us? You learn to be yourselves, Hana replied. You discover what makes you special as individuals. And if we are not useful to humans? Kim smiled. You don't have to be useful to us. You just have to be you. Cha-Young, the Vexathari with the hidden limp, spoke to Vexka. Hive Speaker, request permission to remain with humans for learning period. Permission denied. Contaminated drones will return to ships. We choose to stay, Day said firmly. You cannot choose. You are Hive property. No, said all 6 of the independent Vexthari together. We choose to be free. Vexka looked around at his fallen delegation, his perfect mission now completely destroyed. He was alone with one remaining loyal drone, facing a group of individuals who had discovered their own worth. If contaminated drones remain, Hive will consider this act of war, he threatened. Commander Choi stepped forward. And if you try to take them by force, we'll consider that an act of war too. The standoff stretched on for several tense minutes. Finally, Vexka made a decision that surprised everyone. Hive Speaker requests demonstration of individual choice concept. Hana looked at him with surprise. You want to learn? Hive Speaker wants to understand how chaos creates better efficiency. Over the following days, an incredible transformation took place. The 6 independent Vexathari worked alongside the humans, learning about individual expression, personal relationships, and cooperative choice. Vexka watched everything with growing amazement. The Vexathari learned human games, shared their own stories, and began to develop distinct personalities. Day turned out to love working with plants. Cha-Young showed a talent for engineering. Each discovered unique interests and abilities that the Hive had never allowed them to explore. Most surprising of all, when they worked together by choice, rather than compulsion, their productivity increased dramatically. They solved problems faster, created more innovative solutions, and showed more dedication to their tasks. This is impossible, Vexka said, watching Dai and Yoon collaborate on a new growing system. Individual thought should create conflict. It does sometimes, Kim admitted, but it also creates friendship, love, art, and innovation. The good outweighs the bad. On the 7th day, Vexka made an announcement that shocked everyone. Hive Speaker requests to stay for extended learning period. What about the Hive? Hannah asked. Hive will be told that mission continues. Individual learning experiment must be completed before final report. Park So-young smiled. You're learning to bend the rules. Perhaps, Vexka said, and for the first time. There was something like humor in his voice. Months later, a small colony had been established next to the human research station. Vexathari, who chose individual consciousness, lived and worked alongside humans, creating the galaxy's first truly integrated community. Hannah had become the bridge between both worlds, using her enhanced vision to help each species understand the other. She taught newly independent Vexathari about friendship and self-worth, while helping humans understand the value of cooperation and efficiency. Look, she said to Kim one evening as they watched the sunset together. Both peoples learning from each other, both growing stronger. Kim watched Vexathari and humans working together in the gardens, playing games together and sharing meals. You did this, Hannah. You showed everyone that every individual has value. No, Hannah corrected him. Humans did this. Humans showed Broken Drone that she had worth. Hannah just passed gift forward. More Vexathari ships arrived over time, carrying individuals who had heard rumors of a place where imperfect drones were not cast out but celebrated. The colony grew, becoming a beacon of hope for outcasts from both species. Vexka, who had chosen the name Hojin, became the colony's first Vexathari leader. He worked with Commander Choi to establish laws based on individual dignity rather than collective utility. Years later, when galactic historians wrote about the great philosophical revolution that changed two species forever, they would point to a small research station on a distant world. They would tell the story of a blind alien who was abandoned by her people and saved by humans who refused to see anyone as worthless. But the real story was simpler than that. It was about friendship, compassion, and the revolutionary idea that every individual matters. Hannah stood on the observation deck of the expanded station, looking out at the thriving community below with her artificial eyes. She could see the warm glow of contentment radiating from both humans and Vexathari as they lived and worked together in harmony. Thank you, friends, she said softly to the memory of those first humans who had refused to let her die alone. Thank you for teaching me to see. The Hive had abandoned her when she went blind, but her human friends had given her something far more valuable than sight. They had given her the ability to see the worth in every living being, including herself.